It's time for the best coverage of the top stories in sports. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
Oh, yes, it does. And good to have you with us on this Tuesday edition of the show. We can't keep up with everything going on in the NFL. That's the nature of this week in particular, with all the moves that are happening. By the time you see the show, there might be new moves that we don't get to during this show because of, we tape in the morning on the West Coast, closer to noon on the East Coast by the time we get it all wrapped up. So we will get to everything we can and update you on as much as we can throughout the next 60 minutes. So plenty of NFL in the first half hour of the show, just like we did yesterday. Some NBA and baseball on the back half of the show today with Sam Darnold. It's just you and I. That's it. It's just us today for the duration. So, and quite honestly, I have no problem with that because there is so much to talk about that I don't really have an issue with that at all. So let's talk about Justin Fields and Sam Darnold. That news broke yesterday after we had already put the show to bed, so we haven't had a chance to comment on it. And look, I'll start with the Darnold stuff. I mean, he's getting his bag for what he did in one season with the Minnesota Vikings. He should go hand half of that to Kevin O'Connell, because if not for playing for KOC, you got to wonder if he gets anything close to what he just got from the Seattle Seahawks. And while we have knocked the Seahawks for Metcalf going, Lockett going, there is still young talent on that team for Sam Darnold to throw the football to. Nothing like what he had in Justin Jefferson, obviously, in Minnesota or in Minneapolis, but he does have something to throw the football to. I said this to somebody the other day. It might have been Matt Verderam when he was on the show last week. You know what this feels a lot like? Feels like Matt Castle all over again. Matt Castle to the Chiefs. After he has that one season in New England with the Patriots, they win 11 games or whatever after Tom Brady gets hurt. Castle comes in, saves the season, then he gets a bag from Kansas City, and he sucks it up there. Just kind of meanders through the rest of his career, but he got that one big payday. That's kind of what this feels like with Sam Darnold.
It doesn't feel like Kirk Cousins. I feel like we're watching the same TV show with the Minnesota Vikings all over again. And look at how good the Atlanta Falcons weren't this year. So yeah, that's what I'm expecting out of the Seattle Seahawks, because Sam Darnold's going from having arguably definitely a top 3 weapons core in the National Football League to Jackson Smith and Jigba, Zach Charbonnet, and whoever else they can figure out.
Hey, and Jigba's not bad.
No, Jackson Smith and Jigba, criminally underrated wide receiver, especially in fantasy circles. All of that said, that was when he was in a wide receiving core where he was with DK Metcalf, and DK Metcalf was the number 1.
Sure.
Will that continue now that all of the pressure is going to be on JSN? I think it's a fair question to ask for sure. I don't think that we're going to get as fair of an answer with Sam Darnold throwing him the football, even as opposed to Geno Smith. I hear you on the Matt Castle thing, and I don't think it's that far off, but the Chiefs also, at that point, right, were so good in other places. They had an insane defense back then. Dontari Poe was a perennial all-pro contender, right? Jamal Charles was an incredible running back at that time. That was a dynamic team. This Seattle team is not that, no. And they're just losing pieces by the day, Jason.
Yeah, and look, I am perplexed as to why you would go and it just doesn't feel like there's any direction.
Agree.
That's kind of the feeling I come away with when it comes to Seattle. Let's move to Justin Fields, who gets paid by the Jets. It's a fair deal for him. He gets 2 years there to go and show what he can be as a starting quarterback. And now, look, you talk about the situations he was in before. Certainly not put in the best positions to succeed as an NFL starting quarterback. Now it's on him. This is his opportunity to prove. And look, maybe this is that moment where he goes and gets and has a big year and could go get that next big contract. Look, I love Garrett Wilson. I love some of the pieces on this Jets team. Wouldn't it be something if the Jets wound up being better with Justin Fields than they were with Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, and I don't think that that's far out of the realm of possibilities.
I don't think it is either.
What's interesting about this contract, though, is the Jets have created a new kind of design. I was talking to somebody in the sports media industry yesterday about this, and they were like, it's weird. The Jets are now paying a quarterback in a way that no other team is paying a quarterback. Yeah. He is going to be their starter. They're not paying him anything close to starters money. This is a contract that they can very easily get out of after this year if things go south into a quarterback class next year that is expected to be beyond the Arch Mannings of the world, incredibly deep and talented, right? This is actually, I think, a positive move for the Jets because there are multiple outcomes. You've also got Justin Fields locked up at a decent price, like you said, for 2 seasons. If everything does go right, get through this year and let's work on an extension, because maybe he just needed to be in the bright lights of New York to finally succeed. As much as it pains me to say, I don't hate this move for the Jets at all, because it left them so many doors open, which is just something we're so unaccustomed to seeing with New York football franchises in general.
Sam, is it crazy to think they could still be the second best team in that division? I know you're going to say the Dolphins. And I know that might be a popular thing to say, and I think it's the easy thing to say. But I mean, that Jets defense we obviously know is talented. They're gonna keep them in games. Justin Fields is going to be able to extend plays with his legs, something Aaron Rodgers obviously can't do at this stage of his career. He's going to be, and God, for the love of Pete, can we just let Justin Fields be Justin Fields, by the way? Can we just let him be Justin Fields? Let him make plays with his legs. Don't try and pigeonhole him and make him into something he isn't, or more of a pocket passer. Let him run the football and make plays with his legs, because I think if they do, I think the Jets could actually win some games.
Yeah, I think so. Tanner Engstrand will have a chance to kind of design his offense around Justin. It'll be interesting to see. Let's not forget, though, the Jets defense was much different after they fired Robert Saleh.
Yeah.
And they just lost one of their best DBs.
Yeah.
It's up in the air who's the second best team in that division.
I think if you're a Jets fan, you'll sign up for that right now, though. Just saying.
100%.
There's more NFL moves to get to. We'll do it next. Coming up in 10 minutes, more quarterback news from the NFL and free agency. I had planned to rank the top remaining quarterbacks, available quarterbacks, but there is some news to get to, and we'll do that coming up in about 10 minutes. Sam Darnold, sir, let's talk about another wild day in free agency. And boy, I mean, nobody's going to cry for the Philadelphia Eagles, but they've lost a lot here over the first couple of days of free agency. Just hours in here, you have Milton Williams, who the Patriots are like, we are not going to be outbid on Milton Williams. The defensive tackle winds up there. Josh Sweat, who had, 35 sacks over the last several years, something like that. Zach Sweat is on his way out. Look, they they can't keep everybody, especially when you're paying Saquon Barkley one of the biggest deals, in the history of running backs in this league. You can't keep everybody. And again, nobody's going to cry for the Eagles, and they do still have plenty of depth, but that depth gets tested when you part ways with some of these guys, and you're just a couple of injuries away from looking around saying who's going to rush the quarterback next year.
Yeah, especially when two of the guys who were so prominent in rushing the quarterback, which is what won you the Super Bowl, just walked out the door, because you're going to Josh Sweat, like you said, Arizona, and Milton Williams getting the bag from the Patriots. Darius Slay is also going to be cut. They
Steelers.
trade away CJ Gardner-Johnson. Like, it's starting to become plentiful, and Eagles fans are quickly going to learn this is what happens when you have to actually pay your good players, which is what they are now doing with Saquon Barkley, as you'll remember, and Zach Bond, as you'll remember. Two big contracts that the Eagles doled out last week. Everyone said, oh, what's Howie up to? What's Howie up to? I wonder what Howie's up to. Turns out Howie's up to cutting half of those guys that won you that Super Bowl, which is fine. That's how the business of the NFL has to operate. And I'll give Howie Roseman his flowers. He is better at identifying talent where nobody else can than anybody in the league. That is his niche. That is his specialty. So they're taking the gamble. Can he go do it again? And hey, we'll see. I think the return on the trade for Gardner Johnson, the guard from Houston, Kenyon Green, I think that kind of means that Jordan Mailata is now out of that Eagles offensive line room, and that is a huge piece out of that Eagles offensive line room. Listen, it's going to be tough. Obviously, it's incredibly hard for teams to repeat. And the only reason the Kansas City Chiefs did it and then got back to a third is because they locked up their key guys long term and did the same thing Howie Roseman's doing, identifying young talent where nobody else can. That said, Jason, this Eagles team is going to look a lot different week one than it did in the Super Bowl just about a month and a half ago.
I think the big winner so far in the NFC East has been the Commanders. You know, it's nice that the Eagles have kept some of their own where they can and parted ways with guys, but I like what the Commanders have done so far, in this offseason, Sam.
I do too. I didn't mean Jordan Mailata. He's not going anywhere. I meant Mekhi Becton. Stand out. Regardless, key piece of that Philadelphia offensive line. On the Washington side, yeah, I'm with you. Adam Peters is making good moves for what we're used to with the Commanders. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. And I say this as our resident Commanders fan on the show, right? I've been preaching the choirs of Jaden Daniels since, ever since he was first in the league. That said, it's a big gamble on Debo, right? Debo, who has not looked himself over the last 18 months. You're giving Bobby Wagner, who is in the very late years of his career, a lot of money. There are some interesting decisions that the Commanders are.
What do you think about the trade for
very
Tunsil?
Clearly gambling.
What'd you think about the trade for Tunsil?
You needed more protection, right? Like that was the thing. Now
19 penalties last season,
going
though.
To be
19 penalties last season.
Is he going to be what we saw from him the last few years in Houston? Is he going to be what we saw from him the few years before that in Miami? I think those are all valid questions. Again, it's another one of these things that it's the Commanders' brand this offseason. It's a lot of risks that if they pay off, they're going to find themselves right back in that NFC Championship game. But if they don't, you're risking like maybe missing the playoffs.
Kinlaw. You bring in Kinlaw. I like what they're doing. And you know what? Here's the biggest thing. They're addressing their needs. They're not just going and signing guys willy-nilly. We were just talking about what are the Seahawks doing? What's the plan? What are the Jaguars? Look at this Jaguars offseason. Coming off a miserable season. What are the Jaguars doing? What's the plan? I see a plan in Washington with the Commanders right now. And this organization and this franchise that looked feckless for decades, it felt like. All of a sudden now you turn around and you're like, wow, new ownership, a new head coach. And all of a sudden the Commanders, there's a really good feeling around the Commanders.
I think that, and I said this throughout the season, for years to come, GMs, coaches are going to look at what the Commanders did in 2024 and say, hey, when we're going into a franchise with a blank slate, this is the model. This is what we need to do. That it could not have gone better for the Washington Commanders in 2024 than it did. Right? I think we can all agree upon that. And we all started to agree on that like week 10 of the regular season. That was as good as it could be. I think that while all of that is true, and this is a good football team, we got to reel it in just a little bit. right? That expectation can't be that every year everything is going to go perfectly. You have to adjust when things, as they inevitably do in the NFL, go south, at least for a short period of time.
And if you're a Cowboys fan right now, speaking of that NFC East, you've got to be scratching your head saying, what are we doing? And it feels like Micah Parsons is doing just that. Just go and look at his feed right now on X or Twitter or whatever the hell they call it these days. Go and look at Micah Parsons. He's watching free agency right now, and literally everything out of his mouth or out of his keyboard is WTF. And it makes you wonder, some of the players on that team, some of the stars on that roster have to be looking around going, what are we doing if we're the Cowboys right now?
Well, they signed their long snapper to a 3-year, $4.6 million deal or something like that. So, hey, at least you're locking up the important positions, right, Jerry? No, this place is a meltdown. I think that their lack of signings is just showing you what the Cowboys' reputation has become around the league.
And they just watched Chauncey Golston walk out the door and go to the Giants within the division. What are you doing, Dallas? What are you doing? There's some quarterback news to get to. It's breaking fast and furious. We'll get to it next. Coming up in 10 minutes, some observations on the NBA from what took place on Monday. Still to come, some baseball. Yankees got the worst news imaginable on Gerrit Cole. Oh, look, Sam Smart. See? Have you ever seen another human? You ever seen another human take delight in one's misery? That's Sam right now with me. Boy. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? Enjoy that Nationals team this year. Enjoy that Nationals team.
They're going to surprise some people.
There we go.
They're going to surprise some people.
I just realized my drink today actually matches the mic shield. It's kind of
no free ads.
Well, please, it's Costco. It's
all
Costco's
right,
vitamin.
Free ad.
It's Vita Rain. It's not even Vitamin Zero. It's Vita Rain Zero.
Costco, the company that famously has a marketing strategy that is, we will beat everybody's prices so we don't need to advertise.
Costco is great.
Getting free advertising from Jason Page.
Let me tell you something. Costco is amazing. And
right,
I don't get anything free from Costco. They are amazing. And they're good to their employees, which is even more important to me. Their employees get like stock in the company and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. I cannot say enough good things about Costco. All right. That being said, advertisement for Costco being over, even though I get nothing for free from them. Let's talk about
wait. You want to hear a story?
You give me a Costco
I gotta
story?
tell this story because So when I was a kid,
Yep.
I hated Costco.
Mm-hmm.
Hated it.
Why?
Because I didn't understand the greatness of it, right? All I knew is that, hey, sometimes your parents make you go in this big store and we got to walk around forever. And then you got to wait in line forever to check out. And that takes forever because you got so much stuff. So Costco always frustrated me as a kid and I never wanted to go. And I always pretended like it was this really bad thing. And then when I hit college, I remember sending a text to my parents that I would never speak ill of Costco again, because obviously as a 20-something, you understand the greatness of, wow, I can get laundry detergent for the next year and a half for $16.95. How great is that?
And you can get a slice of pizza for like $1 and a hot dog for like $1. And they'll never change those prices. Exactly. It's a cheap dinner option for somebody young like yourself.
Exactly. So credit to Costco, and I do sincerely apologize to my parents for tormenting them for so long over that wonderful store.
You know what? Let's finish all the commercial stuff. Let's get it out of the way right now and talk about our friends over at Credit Associates. We love Credit Associates, and you should love them too, especially if you're $10,000 or more in credit card debt. In over your head, trying to make monthly payments? Well, there's a powerful debt relief program the credit card companies don't want you to know about. Overcome the debt trap of multiple credit cards, high payments, and high interest rates that keep you in debt for decades. You'll have to eat that Costco food for the rest of your life. With one affordable low monthly payment, Credit Associates Debt Relief Program can help you resolve your debt in as little as 24 to 36 months, and that'll save you thousands of dollars and decades in debt. Find out how much you can save by calling 1-800-747-5362. That's 1-800-747-5362 with our friends from Credit Associates, or just scan the QR code below. There you go. That's it, and that's that. You all right, Sam?
That was funny.
Oh, thank you.
That was very funny.
Thank you. That's called ad-libbing. So, in the remaining 4 minutes of this segment that we have blown up, we have news. We were going to talk about the remaining QB options here in this offseason. One of those options is now off the market. Boom! Daniel Jones, 1 year, $14 million from the Indianapolis Colts. And that tells me something. It tells me he's going in there to compete for that job. That Anthony Richardson's he's got to look over his shoulder, because there's the real possibility that if he doesn't play well, they're going to go to Daniel Jones.
I would go even less far than that. I would say there's a real possibility that Daniel Jones is the week 1 starter. Like let's not rule that out right now. I think that there will be a quarterback battle through camp, through the preseason. Why? Because nothing really matters to this team. They showed you it this last year. They're going to show you it again this year. Nothing really matters to the Indianapolis Colts. Maybe they're a team that's playing for the next draft, right? Because we know that there are going to be a bunch of quarterbacks in that draft. Well, like there were a bunch of quarterbacks in the draft, you took Anthony Richardson in, and that didn't really win. Never mind. That's neither here nor there. So this team is going nowhere. I really hate to say it, but like, do you expect them to compete in the AFC South? I don't.
No. I mean, the only good news is it is the NFC South. And as much as we like the Texans, or the AFC South, as much as we like the Texans, it's not like it's a murderer's row sort of division, let's just say.
Sure, but I'm going to take that division where half of it has more upside than the Colts do over the Colts, right? Like, I'll buy in on Liam Cohen with Trevor Lawrence. We saw what Trevor Lawrence did when healthy last year, and I'm a guy
Listen to you
right.
talking up.
I'm a known Trevor Lawrence.
Have I taken crazy pills here? Are you talking up Trevor Lawrence on this show?
I'm not. I'm talking down the Indianapolis Colts. This is telling you how much I don't believe in the Indianapolis Colts this year. I'm picking Trevor Lawrence with a new coach over them. See, this is the thing. I really think that the Colts, and I know we give him a lot of flack on the show, but the one thing Pat McAfee knows a lot about is the inside of that building. Yeah. And he went on a rant in the middle of last season that a lot of people forgot about, where he said that there is organizational malpractice going on in Indianapolis. And I don't want to go as far as to say it's Jim Irsay's fault, because I do think there is a degree of him that may not be completely familiar with everything that's going on beneath him, but there is definitely something wrong in that organization. I really just hope that they're going to blow it up.
This is your reminder, your daily reminder, that Aaron Rodgers is still a free agent. And and look, the options are starting to dwindle down here in terms of where he's going to play. Yeah, the Steelers are still a possibility, and people are talking that up. The Giants are still a possibility. Where are you going after? Cleveland? Like, where's Aaron Rodgers going to play next year? I have a suggestion, and I planned to spend more time on this in this segment, but I blew it up with talk of Costco. I have a suggestion, and it's this. Aaron Rodgers should retire. Not because he can't play anymore. Not because he can't be a viable starting NFL quarterback anymore. But why are you even playing at this point? You have no chance to win a Super Bowl with anything that remains. So why are you still playing if you're Aaron Rodgers? I know, Sam. I didn't give you time to answer. So you're going to have to ponder that. And we'll come back. Some NBA to do next. Welcome back. We're halfway home on this Tuesday edition of SportsWrap. Got some baseball to get to in 10 minutes. Who stands to gain the most from the Yankees' misery with Gerrit Cole needing Tommy John surgery? We'll talk about that some. Some fun stuff to get to in odds and ends as well today. New era. What are you doing? We'll get to that coming up as well, Sam Yarnell. Some quick thoughts from the NBA on Monday night. Three outcomes I watched with keen interest. Knicks, Lakers, Nuggets, Thunder. Because I think all of them are sort of indicative of sort of where these franchises are. And I want to explain what I mean here. Start with the Knicks, who everybody basically buried, with the Jalen Brunson injury. It's a sprain. It was an ugly sprain. And he'll be back at some point. But if there's one team that is fit to withstand losing their star, and this is the difference and the contrast between the Lakers and the Knicks. The Knicks with Tom Thibodeau, it's next guy up. It's always been that way. They had these issues last year with Julius Randle. Everybody seems to remember. Julius Randle was a huge part of what the Knicks were doing last year, whether you like him or not, how he fits with Minnesota, all of that. Regardless, he was a huge piece of the puzzle for the Knicks. He missed a ton of time, and the Knicks still won games, and the Knicks still put themselves in a position to be viable in the postseason until the injuries really sort of overcame this roster. The Knicks without Jalen Brunson last night put up 133 on the road in Sacramento. This isn't a team that's going to sulk. This isn't a team that's going to roll over and die. And they showed that last night. That's point number one. Two, the Lakers, the exact opposite. You cannot lose to the Nets. I don't care if LeBron James isn't playing. Frankly, I don't even think I would care if Luka wasn't playing. You still have to find a way to beat the Nets. And last night, they found a way to lose to the Nets. And, look, and that's the difference between a rookie head coach, who, by the way, might wind up being an amazing head coach in this league, in J.J. Redick. Everybody who's talked about him to this point, I think, is raving about J.J. Redick. But that's the difference between being an established head coach and already having a culture set in place, and not this sort of transient franchise that the Lakers have been over the last few years, where guys come and go. And the one stable and constant in that organization has been LeBron James. And you lose that, and suddenly everything else falls apart around it, and you wind up losing to the Nets. And now a stretch where you were hoping you might go 3-4 looks like a stretch where you're probably going to go 2-5 over the first 7 games without LeBron. Go ahead, Sam.
And oh, by the way, the Denver Nuggets beat the best team in the West, the Oklahoma City Thunder, and took over second place in the West for you. My goodness, Jason Page, it started even earlier than I thought. Here go the Los Angeles Lakers. Luka Doncic with a triple-double, and you cannot beat the Brooklyn Nets? Oh, wow. It's really bad. It is really bad. Listen, I get that Jackson Hayes still not back. He is, again, I'd say criminally underrated.
It's the Nets. Find a way to win the game.
No, I understand. I don't disagree with you.
I know.
Just saying things will get a little bit better when Jackson Hayes is back. A little bit. I'm still going 1-6.
By the way, words we never thought we would say at the beginning of the NBA season. Things will get better when Jackson Hayes gets back. Sorry.
You're right.
I mean, really, that's where we are.
Yeah. Horrible for the LA Lakers. I'm really sorry. I hate to be this right, but I am. 1-6 in this 7-game stretch. That's what you're staring down the barrel of.
Yeah.
It's what you're doing. And that one is going to have to be one on a back-to-back that you get real lucky
San
because you
Antonio.
sell out and play all the good players on the front end.
Yeah.
Knicks. I don't think the Jalen Brunson injury actually is that different from the injury that you were talking about last year with Julius Randle, right? Julius Randle was a formidable scoring option in that starting 5, right? And they brought it. Who was it? Deuce again last year too? Was it Miles McBride last year?
Yep.
Who was getting a ton more starting minutes, and he made that step up. You're right in that is the Thibodeau system, right? It is so much what we talk about until they start to pile up, which is generally what happens towards the end of the 82-game season. right? Even in this modern day with rest and guys sitting out for load management and stuff like that. I I didn't have a ton of hope for the Knicks before, but like if anything, yeah, I guess this did boost it a little bit, Jason
Yeah.
Page. I don't know though. Like
I'll tell you.
it's still an Eastern Conference semis exit.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that. The one guy they got to keep healthy on that team, and we learned this last year. You can talk about Towns and Brunson; those guys are important. Don't get me wrong. It's Anunoby. It's Anunoby because he's a 3-and-D guy. He could do it on both ends. I think Anunoby is critical to what the
about
Knicks want to
Josh
do.
Hart?
Oh, of course, Josh Hart's a glue guy. I don't disagree with that.
See,
but
here's the thing. The Knicks are like they're like a watch. They're like a nice watch.
Yeah, I know where
They've
you're
got a
going.
lot of different parts that obviously all do their job,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a set amount of parts, right? And they can operate with one of those parts not working completely,
Yep.
but when two of them go,
Yep.
that's when the whole thing stops working.
No, I don't disagree with that. I think that's a fair comparison to make. By the way, this is why nobody has faith in the Thunder in the West. By the way, you get your doors blown off at home against that Nuggets team. That's a game you got to get up for. And say what you want about the Celtics. The Celtics get up for these sorts of games. Time and time again, the Celtics get up for these kinds of games. The Thunder, they rolled over and died last night at home against a Nuggets team that knows what it takes to win a championship. We're coming back. Coming up in 10 minutes, it's odds and ends. Odd choices for the new era Caps. We'll get to that coming up in a minute, especially if you're a Texas Rangers fan. If you're watching us in Texas, we love you, San Antonio, Austin, Waco. Words I never thought would come out of my mouth in my life at some point. We love you, Waco.
You're not going to get this reference, but maybe someone out there watching will. That was like the beginning of that Drake song. I think it's called TSU or something. I don't know. But it's off one of the new albums. And this guy in a very low tone just starts listing different cities in Texas. Yeah, that's what you sounded like. Anyway, as you were.
I think we should have a moment of silence, like the Academy Awards every year where they do the thing where they flash the names across the screen of every actor and every person in Hollywood, even people you've never heard of in your life, that passed away, like agents and stuff like that. I think we should do one for the Yankees, because their season officially died. At least it felt like that to me. Even though the odds makers in Vegas, Sam, don't seem to agree, the Yankees are still the best odds to win the American League. And it's not really all that close. They're plus 390, and the Orioles are 650. Like, I'm shocked, quite frankly, that the number hasn't dropped more on the Yankees. Because I don't know who's pitching for them this year. Marcus Stroman all of a sudden looks really, really good when you couldn't even get him on the field at the start of spring training. Now Marcus Stroman's got to be like, yeah, you love me now, don't you?
Yeah, Marcus Stroman went from saying, I'm not going to pitch out of the bullpen. What are we doing here? To now being the Yankees' third starter.
Yeah.
This is not a great situation in New York with regard to the starting staff. They're going to look to Will Warren to open the season. This is going to be an internal search, at least at the beginning. Will Warren's going to be that 5-hole guy to fill the slot. Don't forget, they've got Carlos Carrasco in-house if something goes really wrong. I think that obviously the Chase Hampton injury is also tough. People don't know who that is, but he's one of their better pitching prospects who I think was probably due to kind of fill this slot had something like this happened. So him not being available, also tough. A name that I would look to if I were a Yankees fan, Cam Schlittler, a guy who I believe is going into his third season in professional baseball. I've seen him play on multiple levels. Saw him play in college, saw him play a little bit in AAA last last year, bounced between AA and AAA last year. I'm expecting him to take a leap this year in AAA. He may start the season in AA regardless. I would expect to see him in the Bronx before the end of the season, Jason. But right now, if you're the Yankees, you got to be looking at what's available out on the market. Because as you said, with odds like that and a lineup constructed the way they have, especially with the contracts like Goldschmidt, like Bellinger, these are guys who you're taking risks on in your everyday lineup. So you got to build a pitching staff around it. I've heard rumblings that they are going to try and make a move on Sandy Alcantara, the starter for the Miami Marlins. I've even heard that there have potentially been calls made from New York down to Miami. I have not confirmed any of that, but it would be interesting to see who else the Yankees could be in on, right? I don't think they'll trade for anyone in the American League because I don't think, based on those numbers, again, anyone in the American League is going to give them anything. I don't know. As a Yankee fan, who do you want?
You know, if late in the season Toronto's out of it, would Toronto deal with the Yankees? Give him Verlander? If Verlander pitches well? You know, somebody like that. By the way, I'm glad you didn't have a verbal typo with Cam Schlittler's name because that could have been ugly. That could have come out the wrong way. So I'm glad for the multiple times you repeated that name, you actually you got it out clean. It came out of your hand clean. That's good.
I had to do play-by-play for a game that Cam Schlittler was the starting pitcher for.
There it is. Every time you say it, I'm just like,
that one was tough. That one was tough. I will say, to be on FCC airwaves live saying Cam Schlittler's name over and over again whenever he delivers a pitch. That was one of the tougher moments of my career. We'll just say that.
By the way, the Red Sox plus 800 to win the American League right now.
All right. But you want to know, so we'll get to our full baseball preview at some point before the season starts. I really am starting to think that an AL West team is going to win the American League this year. I think it's going to be either the Rangers or the Astros. The Mariners could surprise you. I really do think I'm buying in on the Rangers, and I give you a little spoiler here. I think Cam Smith, this kid for Houston, I think he's the real deal. I have even placed a wager that I had to hit up FanDuel to get the market open for. But I've placed a wager on Cam Smith to win AL Rookie of the Year. I really, really like Cam Smith. I heard that they're trying him out in the outfield now. It just seems to be speaking more and more to this kid is going to break camp with the Astros, and they're going to be good this year.
It's funny. The number doesn't seem to be catching up with the Yankees when it comes to coming out of the AL. But did you see the Yankees win total?
No.
It's 88.5.
Oh.
It's plummeted.
Yeah.
88.5 for the Yankees. And I almost feel, and it's juiced to the under. It's juiced to the under. I don't think I would. As much as I've just sat here and taken a dump on my favorite baseball team, I can't see the Yankees winning less than 90 games. I can't. You're telling me the Yankees can't go 90-72, Sam? Are you kidding?
Oh, man, you're going to get real mad at me. You're going to get real mad at me in just a second. I got to do it before we go to commercial. Yankees plus 164 to miss the playoffs.
You know what the scary part is? I could see them winning 90 games, and I could absolutely see them missing the playoffs. I'm not going to kill you. Me too. I'm not going to crush you for that. Because I could honestly see it going either way, which is why they set the numbers where they have. Odds and Ends wraps it up next. All right, just about time to put the wraps on this Tuesday edition of the show. A reminder, if you have not done so yet, make sure to subscribe to the Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast. It's available on all of your favorite podcasting platforms. That includes Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon, anywhere you get podcasts, you can check out the show. You could also watch us every day on Spotify as well. We put the show up in the afternoons, as well as on YouTube, where we put the shows up when somebody like the WWE doesn't feel like to throw a copyright infringement on us for throwing like a picture of a WWE wrestler on the broadcast. So there is that. All right, without any further delay, ladies and gentlemen, let's do it. Time for some odds and ends presented by our friends at Credit Associates. Hey, are you $10,000 or more in credit card debt, in over your head trying to make monthly payments? Well, there's a powerful debt relief program the credit card companies don't want you to know about. Overcome the debt trap of multiple credit cards, high payments, and high interest rates that keep you in debt for decades. And you can do it with just one affordable low monthly payment. Credit Associates Debt Relief Program can help you resolve your debt in as little as 24 to 36 months. What's better than that? It'll save you thousands of dollars and decades in debt. Find out how much you could save right now. Don't wait another second. Call 1-800-747-5362. That's 1-800-747-5362. Our friends with Credit Associates, or just scan the QR code below. Sam Yarnell, hat fail. New Era came out with their over something hats. I don't know. They came out with a special hat collection for the MLB season. And tell me what's wrong with the Texas Rangers hat, which has already been pulled off the market. It is no longer available. If you got one, congratulations, because that is going to be a collector's item. Instead of reading Texas with a giant T over it, it just looks like Tetas, which, if anybody speaks Spanish, you know what it means. Our friends watching in Texas, you will appreciate that. That is what the Texas Rangers got for their special hat. Now, there's a bunch of them, and you can see them here on the screen. And none of them in particular look all that good, because all of them kind of block out if you're a team whose logo is a letter. You know, like the Nationals are the Nawnals. Like what? I don't know what the Nationals would be. The Nawnals, Sam? Yeah?
I guess. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. The Cincinnati, I don't know. I mean, the Ashos. You got the Ashos. I don't know what the Ashos are. The Annuals. If you're a Rangers fan, you got the Annuals.
All right, careful.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Could have been like a Schlittler moment.
I'll say this. I was expecting to already see these up on eBay, because there are definitely people that did order them. If Fanatics, I swear, whew,
we love you, Michael
if
Rubin.
they let these people purchase this hat and they're canceling these purchases because that's deplorable.
Yeah.
Fanatics had an opportunity to drive market value up, I'm just saying, on these hats. Probably at least 2x, and they're not. No, send the ones to the people that ordered them. You can stop selling them now, sure, whatever. But you gotta send them to the people that ordered them, and then those people gotta resell them, right? Because I want to know how much they're gonna make. What would you pay for one of those?
The Tetas one, I would definitely pay for. I'd definitely pay for the Texas Rangers Tetas.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. That's the one that they took the money off, that they took off the market. Like, what would you pay $60 for it? Would you pay $100 for it?
I'd pay $100 for it.
What's your ceiling? $250?
No, I don't think I'd go that high.
There's gonna be someone out there charging $250 for it, and they'll make it.
These hats were a disaster. Like,
horrible.
Really, what a disaster. Now, they're not as bad as the one put out last year by New Era. Oh, yeah, there you go. A's fans, your ass. That's it. And you know what?
They were last year.
And, you know, not for nothing. If there was anything, I mean, if there was ever an organization.
Well, this is the most mind-boggling part of all of it.
Yeah.
The hat that Jason just showed, the Athletics hat.
It's right there. People can see it.
It happened last year. And this whole thing happened last year. It went viral. Everyone tweeted about it. Everyone said, "Hey, New Era, what are you doing?"
Somebody's got to be fired. Somebody
they went into the meeting room for 12 long months and came out with, switch the picture, Jason.
Hold on. Give me a second here. There you go.
They came out with, what are we doing?
There it is.
You had a year to figure this out, and this is what you came up with?
Yep, there it is. From A's to Tetas. From ass to Tetas. That's what we got, New Era. Don't blame me. It's a news show. We're just giving you news and opinion. I'm just giving just the facts, ma'am. It's what we're giving you. Gotta love it. Ass. Hopefully, you know what? A lot of people are wondering, by the way, if the A's, this move to Sacramento this year is kind of like a new start for them. To kind of finish the show on a somewhat serious note here, A's are going to be interesting in that AL West this year. I don't think they're going to be pushovers for sure.
I said that I was buying stock in Marcus Stroman. I'm buying stock in a lot of athletics too, especially the hitters.
A's regular season win total 71.5.
Over.
I think I feel the same way. Let's just hope they don't play like ass. We'll see you all tomorrow. This was fun.